Hi everyone, welcome to the another session on Azure Storage. So in the previous videos you would have seen how to work with the relational database, and that is the relational database. We have seen how to work with SQL Server, and then we moved into the NoSQL database. Especially we concentrate a lot about Cosmos DB, and we have seen how to work with the emulator, right? So in the same way, Azure is having another storage mechanism. Using this storage mechanism, also we can store the data, not only data, even the files. And in fact, this plays a very vital role in the data storage as well as storing the very big files. Like for example, when you're creating a virtual machine, the virtual machine hard disk needs to be stored somewhere, right? That hard disk files, the VHD files needs to be stored somewhere. So for that, we need to have a storage account. For example, as soon as I create a virtual machine, that hard disk needs to be stored. So when the virtual machine is getting created, the first thing will be get created is the storage account, which we have not seen explicitly, but now we are going to concentrate a lot about the storage account first. Then we'll be seeing what are all the ways you can use that storage account to store the files, the data, and a lot of other stuff, messages, everything. So as the PPT says, it is a basic building block in any application. If you take any application in the Azure, not only Azure, anything, like if you take a Java or .NET, the basic building block in any application is data storage. In Azure, this Azure storage provides multiple options for storing the data. Like we can store the data, we can store the files, or even you can store the rows of a data. These are all the advantage of having the Azure storage. It is having its own mechanism to store the details. And when you're talking about this Azure storage, this storage provides the data object that is highly available, secure, durable, massively scalable, and redundant, which is the feature of almost all the resources in your Microsoft Azure. And all access to data objects in Azure storage happens through a storage account. So if you want to make utilize of this Azure storage mechanism, the first thing we are supposed to do is we need to create a storage account. So let me see how to work with this storage account. Okay, so going to the next slide. So what is the storage account is all about? So when you're talking about the storage account, it provides a unique namespace in the cloud to store and access your data objects in the Azure storage. As already discussed, if you create a virtual machine, the virtual machine also requires a storage account to store the hard disk files. So the first thing will be get created while creating a virtual machine is the storage account. A storage account can contain blob, file, queues, tables, and disks that you create under that particular account, which can be accessed through the endpoint. For example, if I upload a file, if I want to store some videos in my Azure and I want to stream it, so somewhere it needs to be get stored, right? So that somewhere is the Azure blob. In order to work with the blob, as soon as you upload a file into that blob, there will be an endpoint, so which can be accessed through an endpoint created for that account. So configuration like geographic region, data encryption, authentication can be carried out here. Many such things, lot of things will be taken care in this storage account only. And when you're talking about the storage account, this storage account having some replication option. Replication means like it will just take a backup, or I can say another cloning. There are actually 4 replication options are there in this storage account, and as I told to you, it should be unique across all the existing storage accounts name in the Azure, not only in your subscription. If I give a storage account name called Karthik storage account means, then there should not be any other storage account in that particular name throughout the world. It should be unique across all the storage account names in the Azure. And in the replication option, there are 4 options are there. They used to call it as locally redundant storage, zone redundant storage, geo redundant storage, and read access geo redundant storage. So these are all the 4 ways you can replicate that storage account. So replication means we are creating a copy. When I go for the local redundant storage, in the sense, you know about the concept of availability set, and then you know about the region, right? So that region, data center, and all those stuff. So when I talk about the locally redundant storage, means it will create 3 copies within the single data center. Sorry, just give me a minute. So sorry. Now, when you're talking about this Azure storage, it starts with the storage account. And if you are we are discussing about that 4 different ways of replication. So the first thing is locally redundant storage. So if it is locally redundant, if you select this replication option, 3 copies within single data center will be there, that storage account, because this is very important, because that's where your important files and storage things will be get stored. So when you're selecting this option, locally redundant storage, 3 copies within single data center. Whereas zone redundant storage is there. Zone redundant storage in the sense 3 copies across 2 to 3 data center in that availability set, or in the zone. In the availability zone, in a region we have multiple availability sets or available zones are there, right? So 2 to 3, the 3 copies across 2 to 3 data centers will be there. If suppose somewhere one of the data center is going down, so that storage will be available for you in another one. Then geo redundant storage. Geo redundant in the sense 3 copies in primary region and 3 copies in the secondary region. You can just select it, like primary region as Central India and secondary region as West Europe. You can just select that. That is called as geo redundant storage. So in two different regions we can store. And when I go for this option, read access geo redundant storage, in the sense RO access to the secondary region data. So read only data. Geo redundant and read access geo redundant, in the sense geo redundant is whenever you do any write operation, it will just write that data into that disk in both the location if it is geo redundant. Whereas read access in the sense only in the primary data center, or primary region, it will try to write it, whereas we can just read it from the secondary region data. So these are the replication option available in the storage account. So if you want to store any details, okay, if you are planning to store any details in Azure, it needs to be stored. We need to have a storage account. Without that, we cannot do anything. So for example, if you are creating a web page, there will be a if you are going to create a container, that container needs to be stored somewhere, right? For that, we required one storage account. And there are 4 different replication options: locally redundant, zone redundant, geo redundant, read access, geo redundant storage. So these are all the replication option available there. Then let me just show you the Azure storage benefits. So these are all the benefits we'll have when you're going for the Azure storage. Like, it is scalable, elastic, accessible, supports multiple clients, premium storage option is available, and auto partitioning system. We'll discuss that when you're going into that, especially when you're going for the clusters and all those stuff, or if you're going to store the details in a auto partitioning is, let me just put it in a proper way. So let it be first, we'll go one by one. First is scalable. So when you're going for scalable, we can store and process huge amount of data, which supports that even that big data, lot of things are there, right? So it supports that it is scalable to that level. Elasticity is always there, and it is accessible anywhere in the world. Just like the way we used to take the for any type of application, like if I store some images into the storage account, then it can be used in the applications like web, desktop, mobile devices which run in the cloud, on premises, etc. And supports multiple client. It supports different OS and programming languages. And when you're talking about the premium storage option, it delivers the high performance and low latency disk support for IO intensive workload when you're going for this primary storage. And this auto partitioning is like you would have heard about the load balancer and all those stuff, right? So automatically it will load balance the data based on the data based on the traffic. It will automatically allocate the resource to meet the demand of that request. It will just do the load balancing. So all such options are available when you are going for this Azure storage. Then the next one we are going to see here is the creating the Azure storage account. So when you are going for the storage account, I have just taken a screenshot of that. Like the first type is general purpose storage account. There are two types of account types can be created. One is general purpose, another one is the blob storage account. So when you are going for the general purpose, it will give the access to the Azure storage services like blob. We can just create a blob in the sense some huge files, and the tables, queues, Azure virtual machine under the single account. Whereas blob storage in the sense it is specialized storage account only to store unstructured data, very big files, that sort of stuff, videos, that sort of files can be placed in this blob storage account. And it has some performance tiers, standard tier as well as a premium tier is there. So premium tier will be best for virtual machine disk and all will be stored in that premium tier, whereas the standard tier will store the blobs, Azure, etc. And the replication, as I told to you, locally redundant, geo redundant, read access geo redundant, and zone redundant. There are 4 replications available. So these are all some of the important points about the Azure storage account. So as soon as you create the Azure storage account, you need to clearly say what sort of details you are going to store, or what sort of storage details you are going to store under that particular account needs to be specified. And these are all some of the important things. And when you're going for the Azure storage types, as I told to you, we have for a storage account, you can store the blob storage is there, table storage is there, file storage is there, and queue storage is there. Each and every object stored in this Azure storage will have a unique URL address. For example, if I just put a file in the file storage, the file can be accessed via one particular URL. For example, the file storage will be having like HTTP, that file name, okay, your storage account dot the file name dot core dot windows dot net. If it is queue, means my storage account, your storage account dot queue dot queue dot core dot windows dot net. There will be a URL for each and every resource you store. There will be a dedicated URL for that particular file. So a blob storage account only exposes the blob service endpoint, and it can map the custom domain to the service endpoints as well. Like we have seen that, right? When you're creating a website, Azure websites.net was there. So we have provided the custom domain, right? So same way for the blob storage account, the blob service endpoint can be mapped with the custom domain, not for other things. Only for the blob storage, we can map that particular URL with the custom domain. Okay, so let me just see what is this blob storage is all about. So Azure blob storage, that is binary large object storage, can be used for storing large amount of unstructured data such as document, images, videos, etc. Every blob is placed in a container. If you see this, I'm having a blob, I'm going to store the blobs. For that, first I'm creating a storage account. I'm creating a storage account called CG India. In that CG India, I can just create some containers. I can say create a container called images, and videos is another container. In that images, I can just put some images as a blob and videos as a blob. And you can write, there are SDKs available. Through that we can just read and read the data from that particular container, and you can upload that something into the container as a blob. We can do that. Every blob is placed in a container, and it says that like we have some there are naming conventions are there, and maximum of what is that, like the account size limit is 500 terabytes. Okay, better we'll just start with one demo so that you can understand this in a detailed manner. So the first thing is we need to create a storage account. If you want to store the blob, first thing is you need to create a storage account. After creating the storage account, you need to have a container. In that container, you can just upload the binary large objects. So it will be get converted into that like a binary stream. It will be get converted and stored, and you can just read that through the programmatically. Like you would have seen that, right? Like if you put some, if you want to upload a file, the file needs to be converted into the binary stream. Then only we can store that, and we can just read that, write that. So all sort of things can be done with the help of this blob storage. So we'll quickly see a demo this time, rather going with what to say, Azure portal. I'm going to do it with programming, and then I will come up with the same concept. I'll explain that with the help of our Azure portal as well. So the program that we are going to do now is we are going to create the container. Okay, we are going to create a container and blob under a particular storage account. For that, we need to have one storage account, right? Without that storage account, you cannot do that. So first thing is we are going to create a storage account. Okay, why we need to create the storage account? Instead of that, I'll show you how to use the emulator. Like our Cosmos DB, we have, if you want to work with the Cosmos DB, we have two options, right? We can use it locally as well as in the portal. In the Azure portal, we can create the Azure platform, we can create it. The same way, this storage also we have a emulator. So you can, for development purpose, without Azure subscription, without internet, can I practice this storage concept? Means yes, you can do that. For that, you need to install Azure Storage Emulator. So in my system, I have already installed the Azure Storage Emulator. First, we'll write a program to work with the local storage emulator. Then I will show you how to create the storage emulator in the portal. So that it's almost similar, and we are going to use for this Azure Storage Emulator. So I have already installed that in my system, that emulator. You can just simply open that by typing Azure Storage Emulator. You can see this is Compute Emulator, Azure Storage Emulator. So right click, open that. So this is going to open it is going to start the emulator. So you can see that in the taskbar, in the notification icon, you can see the storage emulator. I'm starting this with the help of Azure Storage Emulator.exe.start. So this Azure Storage Emulator.exe is available in C:\program files x86 Microsoft SDKs Azure Storage Emulator. In that we have this exe. I given a start. Once it is started, you can see that here storage emulator is started. So once the storage emulator is started, you can work with the storage emulator. And if you want to see that, like we need to have an explorer kind of stuff. For that, we have another tool called Azure Storage Explorer. So when I open that Azure Storage Explorer, which is used to explore the files that we have stored under that blob, tables, everything can be explored here. This Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer can be used to work with local emulator as well as with the Azure. Okay, now you can see here it has access for both local and to my Microsoft Azure subscription. So if I create, these are all the two storage accounts available already, which is there. In this, you have you can just explore the blob containers. So it has a lot of folder. So anything, if you create any file which is a blobs, it will be under this storage account. In the storage account, we have two storage accounts are there, and VS community is for my what to say, like VM which I have created. So in the blob containers, so this is my page blob. Look at this, like this is very small. File shares, queues, tables. I think yeah. So you can just store some table like structure like this, queues, any files you can place. So now we are going to write one simple program in my local storage. Okay, in my local storage account, there is, I want to create one container. Okay, in that container, in that blob container, inside the storage account of my local system, I want to create a container, a blob container. In that blob container, I want to upload one text file. I'm going to write this thing through complete C# coding, and we are going to upload the file, and we are going to come and explore it whether it got created or not later. So to deal with this, I have already started the emulator. Right now I'm going to store it in the local. Same thing can be done with the real Azure storage account as well, once you create the storage account there. But right now we are going to work with the local one. So I have already started it, let that be there. You can just always observe. Storage emulator is started. Once the storage emulator is started, you can just explore that with the help of this Azure Storage Explorer. So I'm opening my Visual Studio Code, sorry, Visual Studio. And the reason for doing this through program is I want to show you how to work with the Azure SDKs. So when you are just installing that Azure SDK, when you're having the Azure Visual Studio 2000, when you install that Azure SDK, with that SDK, I can create the resource group, I can work with blob, I can do anything with that. There is a very nice SDK has been provided. With that SDK, we are going to work with a C# console application to put some files into my Azure storage. So to do this, let me simply create a new application. This time let it be a C# application, console1, and let me name this as Azure Blob Storage. Press OK. And always remember to run the Visual Studio as administrator. And in order to work with this Azure storage, there is a NuGet package called Windows Azure.storage. We need to add that NuGet package to our solution. So let me just add that. So right click, manage NuGet package. So let me add Windows Azure.storage. Okay, so the current version is 9.3.3. Let me install this package. And also I'm going to work with app config file. So in order to work with app config file, we need to refer the system.config.dll. So let me just add that reference. Okay, done. Now we are going to write the code, but before that I want to ensure that it needs to connect to my local storage. So in order to work with the local storage, I'm going into my app config file. In the app config file, I'm going to provide a app settings inside the configuration. And in the app settings, we need to add a key. So whichever key you want, you can give a name. I'm going to give a name called storage connection string. As of now, I'm using the local one. So let me add a key called storage connection string, and in this we need to provide the value. This value is nothing but the connection string. If you are going to work with Azure platform, you need to provide the connection string from there. Since we are going to work with locally, I am going to specify use development storage equal to true. So when I specify this, it will understand that we are going to do a local development. If you are going to connect it with Azure cloud storage, in this sense, we need to take that there is a value connection string is there, in that we need to specify the account name, account key, everything needs to be provided. But as of now, since we are going to work with local, simply say use development storage equal to true. So once done, save this. Let me just go into my D drive. Okay, or let it be in the C drive itself. In C drive, I'm going to create a new file called test.txt. So this is a file we are going to upload from the local system to my storage account. Okay, so in this, let me open with Notepad++ and simply saying that this is the testing file to be uploaded. So save this file. So I'm just uploading a text file. You can upload anything. You can upload an image, but code is going to be same. So we have a test.txt in my C drive. Going back to the program.cs. In this, let me just refer the namespaces we are going to work with. Since we are going to work with the app configuration file, so we require the system.configuration. And I want to work with what storage? Windows Azure storage. So you can specify Microsoft dot Windows Azure dot storage. And then I want to work particularly with, in the storage, what storage you are going to work with. Dot, you can see blob, queue, file, table. So I want to work with blob, so I'm just selecting the blob. So system.configuration, Windows Azure storage, storage.blob. Then now I'm going to add the code under the program.cs. First thing we are supposed to do here is, as per the diagram, you will see that you need to have a storage account. In the storage account, the first thing is we are supposed to have a container. Okay, under the container, I'm going to upload the file. For that file, I'm going to give one name. So I'm going to create a container called, let me have my file is my container. In that container, I'm going to upload a blob, the text file, that is test.txt, as some name, whatever name you want, you can provide it. So let me just write that code. So to start with this, going back to my Visual Studio. So the first thing is we need to get the storage account. So from where I can get that storage account? Right now it is in my app config file. So let me have the cloud storage account. Create a variable called storage account equal to, I want to get it from the connection string. So configuration manager. Okay, so we have the configuration manager dot app settings. From there, I'm just going to take the detail from this key called storage connection string. So let me just make S in caps. So this app settings is going to simply return some what is that? I want to get that right, like storage connection string. I want to convert this into the cloud storage account. For that, this is expecting a cloud storage account. So let me just say cloud storage account dot parse this connection string. So it asks for the connection string because this app setting is returning a string. Once again, I'm just converting into a cloud storage account detail. So I'm parsing it. Done. So it's the first line. So we got the storage account. Once you have the storage account, the next step is I want to create a client, right? From the client, this is the client, but I want to show it in code. So to work with the cloud blob client, so similarly table client is there, queue client is there, so I'm using the blob. So I'm going to create a blob client. This is my client, equal to from the storage account that we have created dot create a cloud blob client, create cloud file client, create cloud table client. So we can use this sort of things. Since we are going to work with blobs, I'm going to create a blob client. So client is ready. Now the next step is I want to create a container. So let me just create a container here, cloud blob container. So let me give a variable called container. For this particular client, from this client, I'm going to give a name for that file. Name for that container. That container name I'm just going to provide as my files. So I'm ready with my container. You can see that when I open this, it shows give me the container name. So the container that I'm going to create is my files. Okay, then I want to check whether the container already exists. If it is exist, we need to avoid. If not, create that. If it is not available, so container dot create if it is not exist, which is going to return true or false. So I don't mind. If it is there also, if it is there, it will say true. Otherwise, it will say false and it will create it. Once it is done, I'm just simply saying console.writeLine container is created. Once a container is created, now inside the container, I'm going to upload the file. Okay, for that file, it is going to upload as a blob. So in order to upload it as a blob, cloud blob, I'm not going to use the page blob. It is used to work with the blob small files. So cloud blob, I'm giving a name for this as blob equal to, this time I want to give a name for that particular file that I'm going to upload. So get blob reference. Let me give a name, any name you can provide, like I can give test.txt also, or test-txt, any name you can provide. Okay, let it be test.txt itself. I'm uploading it as test.txt. You can give any name. Now I want to upload it from a particular file. So you can simply say blob.upload. There are a lot of options are there. You can upload it as a stream, from the byte array, but I'm just simply uploading it from the file, from the directory called c:/test.txt. And you can see this is the escape sequence. So in order to disable the escape sequence, I'm just trying to provide the @ symbol, disable the escape sequence. So once this is done, it's over. You can simply say console.writeLine file uploaded. And if something goes wrong in this complete process, some exception will occur. So what does that exception means? You need to put it inside this try catch block. So take this complete code. put it in, it will throw a storage exception. So let me catch that. Console.writeLine ex.message. A very simple program. So save this. So the code is very simple. I'm getting from the connection string, that is local storage. In the local storage, I want to create a blob called container called my files. In that my files, I want to upload my file from the C drive into my storage account. Since there is no difference at all, only the connection string is going to get changed. If the connection string is get changed, this file will be uploaded into the Azure storage account. So let me just try to run this by saying Control F5. So container created and the file is uploaded. So I'm going to use my Azure Storage Explorer to check whether it is done or not. So refresh all. I'm opening my storage account. In the storage account, the blob container, sorry, emulator, right? In the emulator, we have the blob container. So in this blob container, we have a container called my files. In that my files, you should see that test.txt got uploaded, and from this you can just download it using the Storage Explorer. You can download, or else you can even write the C# program once again to read this from the because it is stored as a blob application/octet string. In the string, you can just read it and get it back. So this is how we can work with the storage account through C# coding. Okay, so we have seen the blob storage and all those stuff. In this blob storage, we have three types of blobs, but maximum time will be end up in these two blobs and the page blobs. So when you're talking about the page blobs, these blobs are a collection of 512 I think 512 bytes pages. For when you are working with the blob, it's a series of blob. I can say there is an option, I forgot exactly what the size. When you're going with page blob, the page blob cannot be longer than 1 terabyte. It cannot be longer than 1 terabyte. A virtual machine network attached to the IaaS disk is the it will be stored as a page blob. So if you go for example, let me just try to show my virtual hard disk, which I have created there in my Azure portal, portal.azure.com. Going back to my resource groups, we have the VS community. This is my group where I'm having my virtual machine. Look at the disk. So there's a disk. So when I open this disk, so you can see that it cannot go beyond 1 terabyte. So if you want to attach one more disk, you cannot have a virtual disk which is more than 1 terabyte. So when you're talking about the blobs, we'll just discuss about only two blobs, blob blobs and page blobs. So when you're talking about the blob blobs, you are going to work with the files. When you are uploading it, I can get the progress of that, like how much it is getting uploaded. I want to show a progress bar at that scenario. Such scenario like the documents, a Word document or a media file, all those things can be considered as a blob. And mainly these block blobs are optimized for streaming and storing. So I want to stream, for example, I want to do a video streaming, then obviously it should be inside the block blobs. Whereas page blob is completely different. Page blobs is optimized for representing IaaS disk and supports the random writes. So it is when you are going for the VHD and all those stuff, it can write wherever it can read and write wherever you want, right? And moreover, it can grow and shrink in size. And another important thing is, like, a page blob cannot be longer than 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte is the maximum, whereas the block blob is having only 200 gigabyte, the maximum capability. So the blob storage account supports only blob and append blob, not the page blobs. So this blob storage can support only the block blobs and the append blob, not the page blobs. This is the important part. When you're talking about the blob storage, only these two options is supported. Okay, so why this page blobs is not supported? In the sense, the page blob is something different. The blob storage account cannot hold it, so we have a special account for that. In that only we can maintain the virtual hard disk and all those stuff. So look at this blob storage. So the blob storage is mainly designed for serving the images or document directly to a browser. It is used to storing the file for the distributed access, for streaming the video and audio, write the log files, storing data for backup and restore, disaster recovery and archiving, storing the data for analysis by on-premises or the Azure hosted services. And when you are going with this blob storage, the user or the client application can access the objects from the blob storage via HTTP from anywhere in the world. Object in the blob storage are also accessible via the REST API. So it is mainly for programming. So like I'm having a image which needs to be displayed, or I'm having a upload option where I need to upload all my resumes, all the documents. So in that case, we need to think about the blob storage. So in this blob storage, we have two types of blob. One is block blob, another one is the page blob. But this blob storage is designed only for this. I'm saying when you're talking about blob as a generic one, we have two blobs, block blobs and page blob. Under the blob storage, we can store only the block blobs. Then we'll see the page blobs. Okay, this is an example we have seen. We need to have an account, and that account should have a container. In that container, we can have the blobs, and we can access that blob using my storage account .blob.core.windows.net. You have that URL, and all the resources under that we can access it. Okay, here page blob store random access files. Page blob stores the virtual hard drive files and serve as the disk for which serves as a disk for the Azure virtual machine. Okay, we'll see that page blobs. So they are just saying IaaS disk. So here still they are accessing the VHD file as well in the same way, whatever we have accessed. We can write, but I think the major difference between this one block blob and the page blob is we can just write randomly wherever you want, whereas in the block blobs it is like we need to write it block by block. When you're you would have heard about the packets, right? Like when you're trying to push it, when you're streaming it, you need to stream byte by byte, or you need to write it in a sequential order, not in the random order. So that's a major difference between the page blob and the block blobs. Okay, so far we have seen the programmatically how to work with the blobs, that too with the storage emulator in the local. Now let me see how to do the same with the Azure portal. In the Azure portal, in order to work with the storage account, I am just going to open the this in the favorite itself. I have added the storage account. So let me click the storage accounts. So these are two storage accounts which got created. This has not been created by me. It is created automatically when you are creating, for example, for VS Community. I have created the virtual machine. Right, for that we required a storage account. Without that, it cannot store that page blobs and all those stuff. So this time I'm going to create my own storage account. Click add, and let me name this storage account as CG India storage, and for this I'm creating a group as well, storage RG. So storage account name I'm giving CG India, because this is, it should be unique. Okay, so you can see that CG India storage, this is unique, and the location is West Europe. Yep. And in the performance, so they are just giving when to use what. So you can very clearly understand this. Premium storage accounts are backed by solid state drives and offer consistent low latency, mainly for IO intensive applications. So if you are planning to store the Azure virtual machine disk and or the best IO intensive applications like databases, we can use this premium one. But other than that, the standard is enough. And in the account type, there are two account types are there, like I'm just going with general purpose, provide the storage for the blobs files tables, whereas the blob storage account are specialized for storing the blob data alone. And you can choose the access tier based on how frequently you are going to work with. So if you are going to frequently work with that, in the sense we need to go with the which tier, then we need to go for not general purpose. Okay, they are saying storage v2 is blob storage account or specialized for storing the blob, and support for choosing, which allows you to specify how frequently the data in the cloud in the account is accessed. Okay, so you need to decide it. If that particular file, for example, I want to stream some video which is very frequently accessed, in the sense we need to go with which account they have not provided. Okay, just a minute. Very frequently, have I given in the PPT? Just let me check it out. No. Okay, so if you want to, any one of that is going to be the, okay, they should have given that also. Learn more, let me just click that. Okay, so this is hot tier. So when you are going for the storage v2, it is coming under the access tier called hot. So hot tier means very frequently accessed stuff needs to be placed in this. Oh, once again they have this option. Is frequently accessed, then once again they are giving the account time. Priorly it was not there. So there are two types of tiers are there. If you are going to frequently access it, just select the hot, otherwise you can just select the cool tier. So I'm just going with this storage, which allows everything. When you're going for storage v2, it allows everything: blob, file, queue, table. But if you select this one, only the blob alone can be stored. That's what this account kind. And in the access tier we have two options, cool and art. When you're talking about art is used to denote very frequently access the stuff. We need to select art, otherwise you can just go with the cool storage. And in the replication we have this 4 replication: locally redundant storage, zone redundant storage, geo redundant storage, read access, geo redundant storage. So I'm going with these options. Let me just review and create that. So the resource has been successfully created. Let me just click go to resource. So we have the CG India storage, which is the storage account. Once you have the storage account, the next step is we are supposed to create the container, right? So once without the container, you cannot put the files. So let me just create a container here. So to create the container, we have this option called, yes. So look at this. If you're going to work with the blobs, so what you're going to work? Are you going to work with blob or file? So file, it is used to create the SMB 3.0 protocol. It means that we can create some file share. You can create some file share and start sharing that with within the network or within the Azure. Like we used to do that, right? Map network drive, and we'll put some files there and we can access that. So such file share can be done with this one. Now I'm going with blob, so let me click blob. You can see that it's asking for a container. So we are supposed to create a container here. In this container, I'm going to like you can just select anything. Let me create one container called images. So who can access it? If it is private, means no anonymous access, but I want people to access these files. So just select that anonymous read access for containers and blobs. So what option needs to be selected? Just a minute. Click container, images, specify whether the data in the container may be accessed publicly. By default, container use blob to allow public. Use container to allow public read and list the access to the entire container. No, I want only for this one, blob. Client cannot enable. Okay. So I'm just using. Okay, no problem. So now let me create one container. So this container is successfully created. So let me just open that container, and you can see that we can upload any file. So let me just upload one file. And the pictures. Okay, let me just take one picture. Let me just upload it. As soon as you upload this, you got this file. When you click this option, you will, okay, when you open that, sorry, after uploading it, look at this, there is a URL for this. You can try to get this blob properties for each and every resource whatever we are creating. There is a I'm copying this one, and let me open the Notepad++. Separate URL has been provided. Paste it. This is the file. So you people can download this file. Even I'm trying to download it here. See this. It is available for anyone who is having this endpoint. And you can just check this in your Storage Explorer as well. So I'm just opening the refresh all. So storage account, CG India storage. So we can see that the blob container. So we have the images. So in this image, we have this sunrise.png. And if you want to make this program to work with your Azure container, so you need to just change the code to point the connection string. Instead of this, we need to provide that connection string. So from where you need to get that connection string, so you need to go into the portal, go back to your storage account, so you can see that access keys. This is a storage account, and in fact there's a connection string here. Copy this connection string and come back to your code. Just so I'm taking this. So here and put this value. So save it and let me just see, can we run this program, so that it should get so container created and file uploaded. So as a result, in your portal under this we have the blobs. So let me refresh. You can see that my files, and in my files we have this test.txt, and once again this test.txt will be available throughout the world by just getting the blob property. You can see that it can be accessed via a particular endpoint. Okay, so we have seen the working with blobs. Then we have another storage called file storage. I'm not going to show any demo on that. I'm just going to theoretically explain this. What is this file storage is all about? File storage share is they used to call it as SMB file show, SMB protocol, not protocol. SMB means that server message block in a secured and a reliable manner. So mainly this is used to create or mount a file storage to access the file data for the applications running in Azure VMs or cloud services. So the file share data can be accessed via the Azure portal or else through the File Explorer. There is one File Explorer option is there, CLI and REST APIs, Mainly this sort of things helps in for the legacy application that rely on file share. I haven't worked with that. So just an idea, like file storage, it is used to provide fully managed file share in the cloud. So we can create the share location. In the share location we can place the files, and that can be used by the Azure VMs and the cloud service. The next important point or next important storage that we are going to discuss here is the table storage. So table storage is a service that store NoSQL data in the cloud. So already we have Cosmos DB. Then why this one? In the sense, it is very cheaper when compared to Cosmos DB or with the Microsoft SQL Server. With Microsoft SQL Server, it is completely relational data. Cosmos DB support the structured as well as unstructured. Sorry, not structured and semi-structured. It supports. When it comes to Azure Table Storage, it is also schema-less. It's a collection of entities, and it is not going to enforce any schema, so that in a single table we can contain, I'm talking about in a single table we can contain entities with different properties. In first record I might store ID name, second record I can store ID name and age, third record we might be having hobbies as well. So without schemas you can just like that create it. So when you are doing like this, there is no more joins required. Everything will be created under a single table, and we can retrieve it very fast, because it is very faster and cheaper compared to the traditional SQL databases. It is going to work with the key value property. So table storage is the best for storing flexible data set. Like some people might have the address. If you take the address, address 1, address 2, address 3, some people will have many lines. You cannot go with the schema. If you say in the schema and set that schema with address 1 and address 2, and if you want to go for one more level, you cannot do that, right? Whereas this table storage will be the right option to do such things. And properties, whatever we are creating will be having a name and value pair, and each entity, for example, if I'm creating a employee is an entity, maximum of 252 properties can be created in a single entity. Okay, so when you're talking about this Azure Table Storage, it will be having having three important things: partition key, row key, and then the timestamp. So partition key and row key. Partition key is used to identify a unique identifier for the partition within a given table. I told you that the reason for working with this NoSQL database is I need to scale it in multiple systems, right? When you are scaling it into multiple system, assume that we have two systems. Okay, we are going to scale it in two systems. It's keep on growing. Let me take in that way. When you are going into or moving that into the two systems, first system partition key, for example, all the record starts with let me assume that partition key as Sogeti. So Sogeti, let the name of that node is Sogeti. For your understanding, I'm saying name of that particular node is Sogeti, means partition key will be Sogeti, and the row key is the unique identifier for an entity. So Sogeti, my employee ID. Sogeti, another employee ID. So all the Sogeti related files will be in the same partition. Okay, so that's a unique identifier for the partition within a given table. Whereas row key is used to it's a unique identifier for an entity. If you see employee table, you can take Sogeti, which is a node, can be considered as a partition key, and the row key is your employee ID. So partition key forms the first part of an entity's primary key, and whenever you want to delete, if you want to perform a CRUD operation, you need to supply both the partition key as well as the row key. Let me just see one small thing here. Actually the concept is wrong. If you look at this, I have given the row key. Once again, this is wrong. Row key should be different. So Sogeti, and probably you might have IND as well, so which denotes a partition key. Okay, and in the row key it is unique for each and every record. SG1234, and sorry for typing 1234 once again, this is 1235. So this combination, based on this combination, and if you are seeing that like all the Swaggerty related records will go into the node A, whereas AppsNA record might be going into the node B. So please read this as SG1235, it cannot be 1234. So together it will just like a composite key, it works. Okay, partition key will be for that particular partition, and the row key is the unique identifier for that particular entity. So together it will create a record, and this is very cheaper when compared to the database, traditional databases like Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, let me see one scenario. Just a minute. Okay. So scenario here is like I'm having a service called product service, which is running in one node and which is going to fetch some data from a database. Okay, now this product service is taking that, no problem. Suppose I'm just going to have scaling it, so it's going to be a horizontal scale. Whenever there is a more requests are coming up, it's going to scale many a times. Okay, let me have two nodes. Now think about the problem. So from service comes here, it's going to connect to this database, and service come here, it is going to speak with this database. This will be very risky scenario. Concurrency, lot of issues will occur. The best solution is when you are scaling, if my database is also getting scaled along with this, then it will be better. But this is the very costliest operation. This is very costly. For each and every service, the database needs to be get replica. It's very tough, in fact, to do this. So the solution is, instead of doing all those things, in this service itself, I want to write. I'm just giving you an idea. It is not exactly this. So I want to store the details something like this. Okay, so you just take this in the table storage perspective. I'm going to store in the storage account. Okay, I'm not going to store it in a database. It is stored in the same system as a key value pair. As of like a priorly, when databases not exist, at that time they used to store everything in a file and they read it, right? That is the easiest way to read and write. So they are going to store that. To store and read that, I'm going to, in Microsoft Azure, they provided an option called table storage. How we are going to store means, I'm not going to use the classic database concept like no Cosmos DB, nothing. I'm going to store it in a storage account. So this will be very much faster when in reading and writing the file, because it's going to be in a disk instead of storing it into a table which is in a remote location. So that's the advantage of working with the table storage. So in the table storage, you'll be having one partition key. So partition key is like when I just go for multiple nodes, when I span across that or something is happening, I don't go with this service. I'm just really deleting that service part. Okay, so like I'm having two partitions here. A table, it's getting into two nodes. So this will be a separate partition and this will be a separate partition. So the partition key of this particular node will be same and this particular node will be same. And In this, we might have n number of entities. That entity, it needs to be uniquely identified. How to identify it means with the help of a row key we can identify that. And whenever you want to perform a CRUD operation, you need to supply both the partition key as well as the row key. Okay, now quickly we'll see, and the people who are viewing the video, okay, I'm making it very clear that this is just for your understanding purpose. Don't think that this is the exact way the table storage is going to store the details. So to make you understand in a layman words, I'm trying to provide this sort of pictures, and don't take this as a what is it, like this is what if you are going for an interview or a client interview, don't try to say the same thing. So in order to make you understand, I'm giving this. I'm not an expert in this particular area. Now to continue with this, I'm going to write a table storage this time. So to work with the table storage, once again, let me just go into the Visual Studio Code, sorry, Visual Studio. Okay, same namespace, but this time we are going to use I want Microsoft Azure is already there. If it is not, we'll take it. So in the storage, this time it is going to be with a table. Okay, in this table, I'm using the same connection string. This time I'm going to do it locally. So comment this line. Saying that I'm going to use the local storage, and ensure that your storage emulator is working. Okay, done. Then going back to the code. So in this code, we are going to do some CRUD operation. I'll just show you. Code is very simple, so better I can just copy and paste and finish off quickly. So the first function that I'm going to create is create the Azure storage table. I'm going to call this, and anything goes wrong, the exception arise will be the storage exception. So right click, just generate that method step. So the first step is I'm going to create the storage, that is create the storage table. So to create the storage table, we have to create the storage account, right? So let me create a cloud storage account. Cloud storage account. Same code which we have done in the block. So storage account equal to this time let me try with cloud storage account dot parse. I'll use another method. Instead of using that configuration, I'm using the cloud configuration, which is available in using Microsoft.Azure. Okay, here I'm using the cloud. I think it is in, okay, it's not there. Cloud configuration manager, control dot. Configuration manager. Okay, or otherwise we'll just use that. I forgot that. We'll better get it from the previous code. We have that configuration manager. Yeah, but why we'll just see cloud configuration manager should be there, like need to know that. So this Microsoft Cloud Configuration Manager, right? Let me just search where it is. It's in Microsoft.Azure. Okay, let me try directly. Microsoft.Azure dot cloud configuration. No, it's not coming. Okay, better. I think it's available in a separate NuGet package manager, I guess now. Let me just install that. Tools, NuGet package manager. Let me try with Azure configuration manager. Windows Azure, right? Windows Azure dot no Microsoft dot Windows Azure dot manage is spelling wrong. Yeah. So this is that. Let me install it in this. Okay, so it has added. Once it is added, now you can try that out. We'll go back to the code. Parse cloud configuration manager dot, simply you can say get the settings from the, I'm just saying storage, what is that, storage connection string. This is another option. Paste it. So we got it. Next, I want to use this particular stuff everywhere, so I'm making this as a global variable. Control X, put it here, and saying storage account equal to okay, it's a static variable. Okay, so we got the connection string done. Storage account is ready. Once you have the storage account, now the next thing is we are going to work with the table client. So to create the table client, so cloud table client equal to, from the storage account dot get the, create the cloud table client, and then I'm just saying table equal to, I want to create a table now, so I'm just saying table client dot get the table reference. So this is going to return a cloud table, so let me just store that. Cloud table, I'm creating a table called guests, UESTS, and then I want to check whether the table is already exist or not. Same code, table dot create, if not exist, create the table if it is not exist, and simply say console dot write line table created. Done. So I want this as a static variable so that I can use it in other methods as well. So this is a static variable and cloud table static table. So very simple code. So this will create the table. As soon as the main program starts, it's going to create a table called guest. Now in this table, I just want to add a guest entity. So for that, I'm going to create one method. I'm not going to show create all the methods. You people can just give a try. Like I'm going to show you how to add a guest entity and remove or delete the guest entity and delete the table. So these are the three things we are going to do. So let me show. I'm going to create a method called get add the guest entity. So for this we need to have a guest entity, right? So let me just create that model. So to create that model, let me create a class called guest and this guest entity. So since we are going to work with a table, it needs to be derived from the table client. Sorry, not table client, table entity. And there I'm going to, why I'm using this table entity, because in this table entity only we have the partition key and the row key. Okay, so we can just right click, go to definition and see that this table entity will have these two properties, partition key and the row key. So I am deriving from that particular entity, and now I'm having my class, that entity properties. Okay, like I'm having a string called name, prop tap tap, then a string called contact number. Okay, so in order to uniquely identify this particular guest, we required one row key, and to uniquely identify that partition, we require the partition key, which is available in this table entity. So I'm just creating a constructor with these two properties. So it contains string partition key and then the row key. Okay, so this dot, I can get that partition key and row key. So partition key equal to take this partition key. So whenever I create a guest entity, I need to pass those two things, and that in turn it's going to be assigned to this row key and the partition key. Done. So this is my guest entity. I want to add a guest now. So in order to add the guest, the code is very simple. Let me just go into the guest implementation, add the guest entity. In this, to create a guest entity, let me create a new object where guest entity equal, where guest equal to new guest entity. So it takes two parameters. One is the partition key, another one is the row key. So in the partition key, I'm just saying I'm a CG employee. With the row key, I'm giving my I forgot my employee. So some employee ID I'm just giving. So then I'm going with guest.name as Karthik and guest.contact number I'm just giving my contact number here. Now I want to do the insert operation. So in order to work with insert operation, we have the table operation dot, I'm going to insert. So just simply call insert function. Then let me insert the guest entity. This returns what? It returns a table operation. Let me say table operation. I'm just going to write insert operation here. So now I want to execute this. So to execute it, we need to say get the table first. Table dot insert the table dot execute the insert operation. Done. So the record is inserted. Once inserted, I'm just simply saying console.writeLine entity added. So we have created the table and we have added the entity. Now if I want to retrieve one record, okay, we'll just show you how to get that one record. So to retrieve an entity, retrieve the guest. It's almost similar. You can just have the table retrieve operation. So I'm just taking the table operation part, copy, paste it. So table operation is retrieve operation. Okay, so to retrieve it, we need to say table operation dot retrieve. I told to you when you are going to retrieve, we are supposed to give both the partition key as well as the row key, and I want to typecast it to, or I'm just making this generic guest entity. So when I open that, it will ask you give me the partition key and the row key. So the partition key is CG and the row key is 108331. So I want to get that particular record. Okay, so I want to retrieve this result. So to retrieve it, let me execute this first. Retrieve operation dot table dot execute this retrieve operation. So when I retrieve this, it's going to, this time it's going to return a table result, right? So let me just get the table result. In the table result, retrieved result, we got that. And in this table result, we got that data. I'm just going to check if it is not equal to null. Very simple code. Retrieve not equal to null means if the record is found, I want to cast it as a guest entity. So that result, retrieve result dot get that result, I want to cast it as a guest entity. So I'm just getting that as a guest entity, so that I got that guest. Var that guest, we got that guest. I'm just going to print that guest details, console.writeLine. So I'm using the string interpolation. So I want to print the name, RIEVD. So what is that name? So to get that, guest.name. The remaining things I'm not printing. So we have executed, we got that, and then now I'm simply saying that it is printing it, else console.writeLine record not exist, entity not found. Simple. So we have added and we have retrieved it, and similarly you can just update it as well, but I want to delete that table. So to delete the table, I'm going to write another method called delete the Azure table. Delete Azure table, control dot How come it created with that method? Oh, sorry. This is create. Okay, now I want to delete this. So control dot. Let me write the implementation. This implementation is very simple. Get the table and check delete if it is exist. Console dot write line table deleted. Done. So this 4 methods you can just try with update, retrieve, all the stuff. So first is creating the storage, then adding the guest entity, retrieving the guest and deleting the storage. Once it's deleted, it will just print table deleted. Let me just run this program, save this code, control F5. Table created, entity added, entity is added, then it stopped. So somewhere wrong. In the retrieve guest, do we have that record? Guest entity, that's right. We retrieved it and okay, sorry, not retrieve result. It is this one not equal to null. Then only we'll get that entity. Then I'm trying to print it. Control F5. Okay, before that entity is added, right? We'll just check. In the storage account, in the emulator, under the table, we have the guest. Look at this, partition key, row key and timestamp. And we got this record. Okay, let me just delete this now. Okay, and we'll redo this or rerun this code. Control F5. There is something wrong. Okay, is it the table is getting deleted? We'll check. The retrieve guess there is something wrong, and refresh this once again. Control F5. Yeah, this is working perfectly. There is some problem in retrieve guest. CG 108331. That's perfect. Table dot execute the retrieve operation. Retrieve table dot result not equal to null. Retrieve result dot result as guest entity. And what else? Okay, let me just try to debug and check. Yes. Okay. Let me step into this. It executes that. Something wrong. Table dot. But what is the error? You converted that. There is an exception. Exception is also not cached properly. where I'm going wrong. Retrieve the guest entity, table retrieve operation, table operation dot retrieve, getting the guest entity. Okay, let me just comment these lines and check. Control F5. No, the problem is here only. Table operation, retrieve operation, table operation dot retrieve the guest entity. This is perfect. Table dot execute the retrieve operation. That's also perfect. Okay, there is no problem in our code. The problem is when you are going with the entity, this guest entity should compulsorily have a parameterless constructor. This is a problem. Okay, so save this. Now it should work. So save it, and let me just delete the record which is already there. Storage account, emulator, so table, we have the guest. Let me delete this. Now we are going to do all this stuff together. Control F5. Yes. Name 0. Why name is 0? Sorry, I mixed those two things. Here it should be, there's a string interpolation which is introduced in C# 5.0. Simply we can provide guest.name. Control F5. You can see that. So table is created, entity added, and we got that record, and table I am deleting. So if you want to just persist this in the real Azure storage, very simple. You need to go into the app config file and change this connection string, and so that everything will work in the Azure as well. So this is all about the storage mechanism with Azure. In Azure we have three types of storage. Database, relational database we can work. We have seen SQL Server, and then we have seen Cosmos DB, and then we moved into the Azure storage. In Azure storage we have seen what is blobs, what is it file share, and then we have seen what is table, how to work with that.